Bezrat Hashem, tomorrow is Chanukkah. Hanukkah is the holiday that is the closest to the reality that we're living in. Hanukkah features the most details that we can relate to what we're going through right now. And if one seizes the opportunity, then they have the ability to take the light of Hanukkah and to diminish a lot of darkness. Because really the essence of Hanukkah is Banu Choshech Legaresh. As we came to push away the darkness. Legaresh means to scare off. How do you win darkness? Not with tanks and not with jets, only with light. There's no other way to fight the darkness. Since the essence of Chanukkah is Banu Choshech Legaresh, you have to remember that concept. Banu Choshech, Banu is we came, and pay attention. We came, Banu, not I came, or they came. It has to be together. And to do what? Legaresh et HaChoshech, to remove the darkness. If we would know how easy it is to diminish the darkness, life would look completely different. It's just that we have the Yetzer Hara that is blinding us to convince us that the darkness is actually stronger. But if you would just know how simple it is to diminish the darkness, you would be kicking yourself in the head for all those years that you didn't just turn on the light. That's all it takes. The Greeks are the ones who came to darken our lives. So this might be another way of calling the holiday of the war with the Greeks. And really their theme was they didn't want to kill us. They didn't come to us like Paro or many others, or Haman, and says, we want to kill you. They're like, no, we have no problem with you living. We have a problem with how you live. And we want to program you. We want you to be like us. And not only that, we want you to do whatever we tell you to do in order to eliminate any possibility that there's a creator to the world. Now, I don't know about you, but this concept sounds very familiar. The concept of a kingdom, of an empire that wants to rule by taking away one's right to do whatever they want. I mean, that's kind of what's going on right now in the world. But we're not going to make comparisons between one culture to the other. Just important to understand, the essence of Hanukkah is we came to scare off the darkness. We came to win the darkness. The concept is that the Greek were the ones who came to darken everything. And it's very important to understand the Greek. Don't look at it as the Mykonos and Soufleki from the Greece in the islands. I'm talking about the kingdom, the empire of the Yevanim, of Yavan. Something interesting that happens in any situation in life, but we can understand it very well in the story of Greece, in the story of Yavan, is that while it was happening, it was almost impossible for the people then to realize really what's going on. Which is in every case. Only years after the fact, when you look back, you understand what happened. So right now, mainly Israel, but the world is a little bit chaotic because of a terror attack that occurred 2 months ago. We still don't know what happened. We're still in some, thousands were murdered and injured and Israel went into war. And we don't know what happened. You know when we're going to know what happened? In 10 years. In 15 years, things will clear out and all the dots will come together and you'll be like, now I understand. And it's not even 10, 15 years. It will take probably 100 years because look now back, let's say 80 years to the Holocaust. Now we understand really what happened. As the Holocaust was happening, they didn't know what's going on. I mean, they knew what's going on, but people in France didn't know what's going on in Hungary, and people in Czechoslovakia didn't understand what. It wasn't so clear. And even in the death camps, and even in everything that was going on. So as we're going through something, We don't have all the dots. Like, I'll give you one example. Look at all the hostages that are coming back. They didn't know what's going on. They didn't know who was kidnapped, how many, what. They didn't know. They were just pulled out of their house, sat in a cave or in a tunnel for 2 months. Now they're coming out. They didn't know what was going on. And of course, the captures were telling the lies. Why is that important to know? Because the story of Yavan didn't happen in 3 months. It was years. It was years over years over years. Exactly how now in our generation, you don't notice so much the transition of what this world went through in the last, let's say, 40 years. If a person is young, then he won't even notice. If a person is older, you see the changes in the world. But only when you look back and you summarize 40 years. As the changes are happening, you don't take notes and you don't pay attention. So just to summarize what I'm trying to say, is that if I look back now, and I'm looking at all the last 30 years, 90s, 2000, and the 2010 generation era, now I can see much better the big picture and see how everything evolved than while it was happening. Because while it was happening, I'm in it, I live it, I don't experience every little aspect of the idea. With that said, years after the story of Yavan, everything started clearing out. What did they want? How did they want to do it? It's almost like me coming and telling you now, listen, there's an evil regime that controls the world, that they're not only, their concept didn't start 2 years ago. This is going back 100 years ago, 200 years ago. And right now, there's a group of people, like it happened many, many times in history, that they think that they can control the world, run our lives, change whatever rules they want in the world, and basically tell us what to do. Now, when I come and tell most people this, they raise an eyebrow. Okay, no, you're a little bit maybe crazy. Why are you coming with all this nonsense? Well, you don't see it. So most people will tell you, no, I don't see it. Because the transition is so slow that you don't notice how things change. When did you notice? When you have a broader angle of looking at things. Either if you're looking at it face to face and you need a broader vision, or if you're looking at it from above, then from above you have a much better vision. If you are in a helicopter, in a plane, 1,000 meters in the air, you see much better area than what you were down here. So this idea is important to understand, that as we go through a transition, we don't notice what's going on because we're busy with the transition. We do not see the big picture. With that said, as things are happening, like now, we are experiencing a certain darkness, but we don't understand really what's going on. Example, let's go back in the time machine to the time of Antiochus. Let's say a group of Jews are sitting in some shul and they came to learn Torah or to talk about what's going on. Okay, you with me? We're going back a few thousand years. No camera then, no phones, same people. And the teacher, 2,000 plus years, tells them, listen, there's this crazy ruler coming from a far land, and this empire is trying to invade our lives and to change our lives. And you know what? They don't allow to do Brit Milah anymore. Half the people in the crowd will tell that speaker, oh no, another conspiracy theorist coming with this nonsense. We had enough of it with Korach. We had enough of it in Matan Torah. Now coming with another conspiracy. That would be 80% of the crowd would be like, what are you talking about? Okay, so they're not so happy with our religion and they don't want us to do Brit Milah. What's the big deal? Then I'll take you to 2023. There's organizations in the land of Israel that demonstrate and oppose the spiritual Jewish ritual of Brit Milah. Then what changed? Do you see any change? This is 2023. That's whatever BC or however you want to call it. Somebody comes to try to change our life. Someone is aware of it and pointing it out, and the rest of people are like, what are you talking about? They were voted democratically. So if we go back to the time machine, it's not something that happened in a week or a month. It's something that stretched over years. So if I go back to the time machine and I tell you now, listen, there's some crazy tyrant, Antiochus, and they're invading our country, and they want to take over our culture, and they start coming with all these rules that we're going to have to follow. What are we going to do? The majority did not accept it. The majority was like, okay, it's a few rules. What's the big deal? Live and let live. No. The majority didn't accept the warning that Antiochus is trying to come in and change everybody's lives. Why? Because when a person is experiencing a certain type of darkness in their life, they don't understand really what's going on in the beginning. When I'm saying when a person experiencing some type of darkness in their life, darkness is a general word for when a person goes through any type of encounter that is very negative. So we will call it darkness in your life. Chas v'shalom, death in the family, health issues, money issues, whatever it is. People go through certain difficult things in their life. In most of the cases, one might be able to explain, okay, this is the darkness that is affecting one's life. Now, the darkness is not necessarily will come with a financial burden or sickness. It can come with an emotional problem, depression, sadness, anxiety, fears, worry. That's also darkness. Now, when is it really darkness? When there's no reality to what the person feels. If it's true, then it's not darkness, it's the Word of God. Right? If something bad happens in my life, and that was Hashem's intention, well, I won't call it darkness, I call it Hashem's intention. Hashem's will. The fate that Hashem decided for me to happen. Darkness is when it's opposing the master of the universe. It goes against the word of God. That you can say darkness. If you got it right away, it took me a few times to get what I just told you. If it's coming from the hand of God, it cannot be called darkness. If it's coming against the will of God, then it's already darkness. Now, as something is happening, try to, each one of you, use your own imagination. My imagination is taking me to places that are more graphic. Because the example that I wanted to say, when somebody's going through a situation, they don't really know what's going on till it's over, then look back 8 weeks ago at the horror attacks in Israel. As it was going, the people didn't know, oh, it's over in 2 minutes. Oh, the army's coming in a minute. Oh, I'll be rescued. At any minute, ambulances will come. Right? We live in a reality that, no problem. Terrorists, call the police. Boom. This time it didn't work. So as a person is going through something, they're too busy with dealing with the situation, they don't have time to understand really what's going on. How do you understand? There's only one way to understand, is you have to investigate and search and research all the way to the deepest part of the root of the problem. If you won't, then you won't understand really what happened. The reality is that most things in our life we don't understand why it happened, what was the reason for that. And not because you're ignorant, or because the signs were not clear. It's because you didn't investigate enough why it happened. And maybe I'm using the word investigate, the wrong word, but to research, to look in, to dig. In Hebrew, you would say to investigate. I have to see what happened. Now, it doesn't mean that always you'll come to an answer. But nevertheless, in order for me to understand the situation, I need to investigate and to reach to the bottom of it. Most people don't want to go even 1%. They don't want to deal with any situation. And we saw it clearly 4 years ago with the corona. Nobody wanted to deal with the situation. No one, even though they were sitting in their houses locked for 2 months, no one wanted to take the time, do the research about everything that's going on. Everybody just preferred to turn their head around and just to believe and just to accept. That was the majority of people. Because in the beginning, when the corona started, the people who called themselves awake, they were numbered. It's after corona that people started, let's call it, waking up. But what's different between what happened with corona than to the story of Antiochus? Now, one might say, what are you talking about? That's a deadly virus. It's nothing to do with any human hand. So let's pretend that's the truth. But doesn't matter. It's the exact same thing. The reality is that when this concept was introduced to us 4 years ago, in the beginning, 99.999 accepted it as some virus that we don't know how it happened. Oh, that Chinese woman, if we catch her, it always starts somehow in China. When the reality of corona hit our life, even the ones who a little bit saw the deception didn't want to accept now another nonsense I need to deal with now. Most people don't want to deal with the situation that is thrown into their face. They rather ignore it, pay their minimal dues, and leave me alone. That's the majority of people. They rather believe what they're being told and accept it and to move on. But the only way to understand what's going on is that you need to investigate. Because I will take any person, and doesn't matter if it's corona, or doesn't matter if it's with the whole free Palestine, the Israeli occupation. 99.9% of the people who support Palestine and scream free Palestine and from the river to the sea, they have no idea what they're talking about. They don't even know where Israel is, how many years Israel exists. You ask them basic questions, they don't even know what they're talking about. And it doesn't matter right now who's right, who's wrong. The facts right now don't matter. Who's right in this argument? What matters is that the majority of the supporters don't even know what's the situation here. Grab any person from all these violent riots you see all over the world, ask them a bunch of questions. And it's not that I have to tell you to do that. People do that already on the internet, and you see how pathetic it is. That they don't even know what they're screaming for. But that's the trend. That's what was injected into their brain. They don't ask too many questions. That's what's superior to them told them, and they accept. And that's including also the Muslims, by the way. Because if you go and look, not what the media shows you, if you go and look at real interviews of people from Gaza, right now, they don't blame the Israelis for anything. They blame the Hamas, they blame Qatar, they blame Turkey. The people from Gaza. So the entire world is screaming, free Palestine and from the world, from the river to the sea. And the citizens and the residents of Gaza are not saying that. And they're blaming the Hamas for bringing that war on them. And blaming Qatar and all the countries where they're not helping them. So you see how easily the human mind is manipulated. That the majority, the mob, everybody wants to be with the majority. I believe that a large amount of people, when it came to all the things that we're seeing in the last few years, vaccines, corona, wars, the majority, they go like a herd because they want to be with the majority. They're not willing to take few hours of research. That's the problem. So nothing changed between now, 2023, or the time of Antiochus. It's exactly the same. Right now, so you can say the Antiochus is Klaus Schwab. Okay, so call him Klaus Schwab. He's the Antiochus right now. What do you think Antiochus came with fangs and a sword? He sat with a suit. Well, he didn't have a suit. He had a nice robe. But he sat in nice clothes and told everybody, L'chaim, my dear Jewish friends, I'm not here to kill you. Just take this injection and do what I tell you. What's the big deal? It's for your benefit. When I need to understand a situation, I need to dig down to the bottom of it. If you do not do that, what do you think? That you somehow going to understand what Hashem wants? It's exactly the same thing with the Torah. Do you understand what Hashem wants from you? No. Well, start learning. A lot of people come to me with questions, and the questions are not a question that I can answer. Big questions like, what does Hashem want from me? Well, tomorrow I'm going to have a cup of coffee with him over lunch. I'll ask him. Don't you think I had that question 20 years ago? But did I go to somebody and ask it? No. I understood that if I want to understand about the Creator, then I need to learn about Him. How do I learn about the Creator? Through His Torah. That's it. You want answers? Learn the Torah. Don't think a human being will give you an answer. I found out that the only way for me to understand what God wants from my life is just to learn God's Word. Then the answer will come to me. So most people choose to accept what they're being told, not to ask too many questions, and just to follow, and not to investigate. And it's not only when it comes to things like I'm telling you now, Corona and all this, it's also with the Torah. You know that the majority of observant Jews just follow what they've been told? How many observant Jews are in the world? 2 million, 3 million, 4 million? I'm talking about observant from ultra-Orthodox to Datilites, I don't know, modern Orthodox. For me, a person that observes Shabbats, eats kosher, and all the major things, that's an observant person. How much they're observant, that's a different question. How much sins they're doing, that's a whole different thing. I'm not talking about the sins right now, because there are ultra-Orthodox people who sin all day long, as they're observing Shabbat, eating kosher, learning Torah, and putting tefillin on, because they say Lashon Hara, and cheat, and lie. So how religious you are doesn't mean how much sins you have. I know people who are secular and they don't sin. I mean, they sin in the basic things because they're not observant, but maybe that's not even considered a sin. Maybe they're in a status of a tinok shenishba, a captured baby. Maybe for them it's not even a sin. When I desecrate Shabbat, even by mistake, it's a sin. When a Jew that was born in Tizishloch, somewhere in I don't know where, in some little town, in I don't know what, they don't even know what's Shabbat. Their Shabbat desecration, it's not a sin. They don't even know. You have to know in order to sin. So, I'm observant and I desecrate Shabbat. That person is secular and they're not. How? Because I'm learned. I know. That person doesn't know. The second you tell that person, then they have a problem. So, you cannot measure the person's observance based on the mitzvot they do or the sins they do. But, like I told you, a person who's somewhat observant, that's a Torah observant individual. Doesn't matter how much right now, white shirt, blue shirt, it's irrelevant. The point that I'm trying to make is, How many religious people, Jews are in the world? From the lightest one to the strictest one. 3 million, 4 million, 5 million. How many? Not a lot. Take that number, and the majority, I don't want to say numbers, the majority of them are sheep. They don't know what they're doing. They just follow the herd. They never learned. They didn't try to learn. They don't ask too many questions. They just robotically do what they've been told. A, that's not the way to serve God. B, the reality shows you that even when it comes to faith, you don't need much investment. I'm talking about the person who wants to wake up the people. Because most people, why do you do it? The rabbi said. Why do you do that? The rabbi said. What? The rabbi said. So you're willing to take a lethal because a rabbi said? You didn't do your own research? Don't listen to me. Do your own research. The rabbi said? That's a whole different problem, because in the world of the Torah, they capitalized on the fact that people will do what the rabbi said. So they found the right rabbis to say whatever they want them to say. And now everybody's happy. The rabbi said, 500,000 people do what the rabbi said. The rabbi's not even a rabbi. He's some corrupt gangster that has a beard and a yarmulke and a $5 million mansion on some island that they bought for him. You can only understand a situation when you really investigate, search, look, and so forth. Whether it's a situation like Hanukkah, whether it's whatever situation that's in your life. If you just follow, you won't get so far. Happened to me once. That was enough. That I stood in line behind the person that was in front of me for an hour and 20 minutes. And the line was barely moving. And only after an hour and 20 minutes I understood I'm in the wrong line. And why was I in the wrong line? Because I just didn't ask which line it is. That was my lesson in life. Don't stand behind the wrong line. Because you'll wake up way too late understanding you're in the wrong line. Ask, is this the right line? Is this where I'm supposed to be? The problem is, I'll tell you what the problem is. Everything lies in the root of things. And if I don't have a connection to the root of something, then I will deal with anything but the situation. And that's with everything. And worst of everything, nothing will be clear. That's the situation. I need a connection to the root of something. And if I don't have that connection, I will just deal with the situation and not understand nothing what's going on here. If I would be able to share with you the amount of messages that are funneling to my direction with questions and seeking advice, and that the majority I don't even have time to answer. It's just 10 years ago I was able to answer every email, every WhatsApp, every phone call. Now, if I answer 40, 50, 60 a day, it's good. But 600 came. But why am I telling you that? That people come to me and they start telling me a whole story that takes them 3 hours. First of all, that won't happen. After 3 minutes, just give me the point. But the problem is that in many situations, when people come with a serious problem, and everybody tells me the same thing, Rabbi, I need you for 2 minutes. It will take me 2 hours to ask you questions to get to the bottom of it. What are you talking about that you need me for 2 minutes? You want me to help you? I need to understand the situation. I had a woman come to me once, a few meetings, trying to seek for advice to help her marriage. And at some point I understood I need to hear the husband. I can't help you if I didn't hear the husband. And luckily I heard the husband, because 80% of what she was complaining and she said That was in her mind. It wasn't the reality. See, if I would only listen to her, I would give her completely wrong advice. I had to investigate and to ask and to get to the bottom of it, to tell her, sorry ma'am, you are the problem, not your husband. But in the beginning you told me. In the beginning I didn't know all the information. In order for me to know the right answer, I need to get to the bottom of it. The problem is that if you don't get to the bottom of it, you understand things in the wrong way. That's it. And again, doesn't matter, Hanukkah, I don't know why Corona suddenly popped into my mind to give all these examples. Probably we're heading into another one, right? So, but if you don't go to the bottom of it, you don't really understand what's going on, so you start inventing all sorts of theories. And that's, by the way, exactly the same thing with the Torah. I failed to see a lot of people who take the Torah seriously. Most of the students, I don't know how to call it, but most of the students that learned with me in yeshiva, some of them I'm still in touch with. Now, even though it was a very big difference in age, I was close to 30 and most of the students there were 18, 19, 21. So I was kind of like in my corner. I didn't mingle too much. There was a few other older men. But the fact is that I have friends since at that time. It's over 20 years. When I look back, there's only 2 guys that actually took Torah learning seriously, and the rest were in yeshiva for a year or 2, got their knowledge and experience, went out to life, and they're either became more modern or less religious or more into worldly matters, but no big scholar came out of that class, okay? When I look back, very few of the men took their Torah learning to a deeper level. When you don't take Torah learning to a deeper level, you don't know Torah. You can have a nice beard, you can have a nice yarmulke, and you can do all the rituals, and you're a very good Jew, but you don't know nothing about the Torah, and that's 99% of observant Jews, and they have the chutzpah to start arguing about things. Habibi, you didn't even open once a Sefer Torah, you're arguing about the Torah. How about you go through all the Ktavim, and in 10 years come and talk? Before you, sometimes I see the stupidity of people open their mouth. Why? You didn't sit and learn. Most people don't know Torah. The fact that you learn the Parashat HaShavua, that means nothing. Most religious people don't know the Torah at all because you need to invest, I think, at least 20 years of intense learning to get to a point that you say, I'm familiar with the text. I don't know nothing. I'm familiar with what it says. Why is that important? Because most people do the minimum to get what needs to be done and they move on. But what the bad result is that you can live a life of an observant man or a woman, doesn't matter right now. You think you know what you need to do and what needs to be done, but really you don't know much. Which again, it doesn't mean everybody has to be a Torah scholar. Many people, they just need to learn the minimum and follow their trusted rabbi who tell them do, don't, yes, no. But dafka, when it comes to the Torah, how can you not investigate to the depth? I don't want to put anybody on the spot. And take it, please, what I'm about to say, very general. Don't get offended what I'm about to say, because it's going to affect all of you. The Torah was given in the holy language. If you look at yourself as a Torah observant individual, don't you want to know that language and to learn the Torah in the original language? Why don't you learn the language? And I know I'm looking at you right now. Don't take it as a pointing finger. It's for me hard to understand. You're a Jew. You decided to dedicate your life to the master of the universe, the creator of all worlds. And you're not willing to take the time to learn his language, to serve him better. What do you think we're going to talk when Mashiach comes? French? What do you think we're going to talk when Mashiach comes? That's when we're going to talk Lashon Kodesh. So again, I'm not putting anybody on the spot. I know you have a busy life. I know you have many things on your plate than to learn Hebrew right now. But take that as something in the background. I came to learn Torah when I was 30 years old. I opened the Talmud. And by the way, just for the reference, it took me, I think, 5 years. No, okay, doesn't matter exactly. 3 to 5 years to wait for the day that I was like, oh, I got it. And I know Hebrew. Took me about, let's round it, 5 years to sit one day and to be able to read by myself a part of the Talmud and to understand it. And of course, I came with an advantage. I know Hebrew. Half the Gemara is Hebrew. It's not Aramaic. But I wanted to learn the Word of God. It took me years to learn the language. We learn Zohar. How can you learn Zohar not in Aramaic? You cannot learn it in any other language. So this is again another example to understand. I understood that God is the master of the universe. That doesn't it mean that now for the rest of my life I pursue to go in that path? Then it's not enough to take a crash course and to say that's it. Avraham Avinu took him 70 plus years to learn God. And you think you're going to learn it in 2 lectures? So in order to understand everything in this world, it needs to be understood. It needs to be researched. I don't accept anything that is thrown to my direction. And many things were presented to me many years ago, way before the world was talking about it. And I made my research. Some of it took 3 years, some of it took 1 month. But there's a little bit more awareness of that. Go and do the research. I need to do the research for you. I did it enough in many times. You have to understand that some of the lectures that I gave you, yeah, I know it became a long lecture of 3 hours. That's maybe 300 hours of research in order to bring you the right information. And I don't want people to listen to me and follow me. Here's the information. Go and research it yourself. And don't tell me, Rabbi Anava said so. I don't want to hear Rabbi Anava said so. Rabbi Anava gave you the reference. You go and research it. You come to your own conclusion. So when you do not get to the bottom of something, you understand it wrong, you apply it wrong. That's why there's such confusion in Judaism. Because the majority don't know nothing about the Torah, nothing about the oral Torah, and definitely nothing about the Jewish history. And you know why? Because the Jewish history they teach you in Israeli schools, that's not Jewish history. That's Zionism twisting reality. Real Jewish history can only find in biblical books. Not in anywhere else. Like I told you, somebody asked me a question the other day. And again, it's not about pointing a finger. It's not about humiliating. It's not about, I'm so smart. Somebody asked me a question the other day. And I got a little bit upset, but not that upset. He asked me, how old was King David when he killed Goliath? Do you know? No. Let me go now to any shul now and ask. The answer will be, he was a boy, no? He was a boy. It says Hana'ar. You know why I got upset at the person? Just open the book. Read a few chapters. Make the math. And you'll come to the answer yourself. Why are you wasting my time? That's not what I told him, of course. I said, of course, let me tell you the age and let me tell you the explanation. But why am I asking? You You think a rabbi is a Google? How old was King David when he killed Goliath? You know, the answer is in the text. The thing is that we don't know exactly on the year, but he was between 28 to 30. And of course the question, but it says Hanar, the young man. Then you have to learn the Torah. Because the explanation is because he was called the young man because he was the youngest for all the brothers. But he was between 28 to 30. Calculation is as simple as possible. How old was King David when he died? That most people should know. 70. How many years was he king? 40. How many years Shaul was king? 2 years. This is all in the text. It's not that I'm now bringing you some secrets from Kabbalah. So if Shaul was king for more, let's say, about 2 years, and who became king after him? King David. If King David was king for 40 years, when did King David become king? When he was 30. So when did he kill Goliath? In the time of the kingship of Shaul. Between 28 to 30. Easy math. Exactly. Also, Yitzhak Avinu is called Nar. He was in his 60s. The point I'm trying to say here is that you want to know something? Why are you counting on me? Go open the book. The book won't lie to you. Well, some books do. You need to know which books to buy. The point that I'm trying to say here is that even in the Torah, when a person doesn't know the Torah in the right way, they start making a lot of mistakes. They make their own rules. No, they say, this is not that important. Oh, that's not the... And that's what you're having right now. And by the way, the tear starts like that. You see this tear? That's how a tear starts. 2 millimeters. Then from here... So if we had a tear start 150 years ago, with the generation of, I don't know how you call it in English, Dor HaSkala, the generation of enlightenment. So they started slowly coming up with their own rules about the Torah, that eventually, look what you have now. Then it was just a little change. Now the tear became this big that the majority of the Jewish nation is secular. Take now any secular individual, put him 3 weeks in a room, that he gets all the right information, he will be the number one observant Jew in the world. You just need to explain it the right way. With that said, let's continue. The root is really the life of everything. The most obvious thing of a root is that it's concealed. You don't see the root. Whether it's a root of a tree, root of a hair, you don't see the roots. And the exact same way, we don't see our neshama. Anybody saw a neshama? You ever saw your soul or a soul? But you know it's there. How do you know it's there? You never saw it. You ever touched it? Never soul went around you and like, In this world, you know what we see? In this world, we see the dead. I'll say it in Hebrew, because that's how the term comes to life. In this world, בעולם הזה רואים את המת. What is the dead? The physicality. You don't see the spirit, you don't see the life. Physicality is death. Because anything physical will die eventually. So what do you see in this world? Just death. Now, I know in English it sounds death. In Hebrew, the word comes in a different way, but doesn't matter. Deal with it. What do I see in this world? Only physical objects. Gashmiyut, physicality, chomriyut, materialism. I do not see the soul. I do not see God. I do not see even things that I know that are physical and I believe in them, but I don't see them and I cannot prove they exist. such as radio waves. Frequencies. Do you see frequencies? The whole room is full of frequencies. Do you see them? No. Radio waves, microwaves. How do you think microwaves were found? Do you know about microwaves? Not microwaves, Röntgen, X-ray. How was it found? You think somebody was like, I have an invention. No. There was a researcher that left his desk one night. He had certain papers in the drawer, picture papers, not picture, tzilum, how do you call it? Like the film. And a certain lamp was on his desk, and he forgot the lamp on. It wasn't like in the, now that there's light bulbs. And when he came in the morning, when he took out the film, it was all burnt like a film. And he understood that it was the lamp. And then they started researching, and that's how they found X-ray. You know it's there. You saw with your own eyes. You see the picture. But can you see the frequencies or waves or anything? No. You do not see it. We see the physicality, which means that we see the mortal, the death, the end. The real life you don't see, because real life is the soul. God is real. That you don't see. What we see doesn't really exist. What we don't see is what exists. When I'm looking at an individual, I see the body. The body eventually will die and rot. What's inside that's enlivening the body, that I can't see. Now there's a lot of individuals that might say, the body's energy, the body is creating energy, the nutrition, Let me ask you a basic question. Does the body create energy? Food that you eat creates energy? Does the body create energy? No. Does a dead body create energy? No. So where's the energy? The soul. The body does not create your energy. And the proof is, take the soul out, the body falls on the floor instantly, and if you give that body an energy bar, you think the body will have energy? The second you take the neshama, the soul out, the body is just limbs. It's just bones and flesh. The body does not create any energy. Does the body create the motion? My hand is now moving. Is the body moving it? You're telling me now it's my limbs and my muscles and my tendons. It's the neshama that is moving the body. Proof, take the neshama out, the body doesn't move. So what I see is not what exists. That's really how it needs to be said. What I see does not exist. If you would bring somebody from the time machine into this generation from 30 years ago and put a person and make him look at an individual talking to a box, what are you doing? I'm talking to my friend. Your friend. Okay. Where's your friend? My friend is on the other side of the world. Here he is. 30 years ago, you even think something like this can happen. Now, you don't question how it happens. You're just happy that it happens. You don't question. You didn't go and do a whole research now how the whole system works. You have to understand a very important foundation. Things that are concealed are connecting us to the source of Shefa. I get my sustenance not from the food that I eat, rather from the godly spark that is in the food that I eat. So when things are completely concealed, these are the things that connect me to the source of my Shefa, my abundance, my energy. Everything comes from God. You cannot limit God in any type of way and say that comes from food, this comes from air, this comes from the weather. Everything comes from the master of the universe. When a person, which that is most people by the way, are not connected to their source, A, they don't know that. B, they end up feeling an entity. There's a very few amounts of people that are connected to their source. Very few, even if you are observant. And when I'm saying very few, even if you have a million observant people, 1 million people versus 8 billion people in the world, that's a few. But the reality is that very few people are connected to their source, including you and me. Not excluding myself from anything. Some are more connected, some are less connected. But when I find physicality or materialism, then I start separating myself from my source. Now you have to understand that the culture of Greece, or you can even call it the exile of Greece, because it's also called Galut Yavan. It's an exile. The exile, or I'll call it now the culture of Greece, it penetrated the materialistic concept in the world. Saying before the Greek Empire, the focus on materialism was not that much before that empire. They brought the idea. That's the culture of Greece. Is this physical, is this materialistic concept that everything is materialistic. That's what the Greeks brought to the world. Because really when you're thinking of it, before that, other empires believed in deities and believed in different gods. So one might say they were more spiritual. You know, if you're looking, for example, let's go back a little bit. Look at Nimrod, who was the exact same thing. He didn't believe necessarily or pushed materialism, right? He pushed paganism and all sorts of other rituals. They were doing rituals. Yavan, Greece, came and said, no, we're not spiritual and physical. It's all about the physicality, and it's not only money. The worship of body. The worship of what the body can do. So they brought all the Olympics. I mean, the Olympics came from, it's a Greek culture. Look at the culture of the Greeks. You see, it's all about the body. The Colosseum, shows, movies, Hollywood, Netflix, one big balloon of nothing. It's called entertainment. The Greek reality, the Greek Empire brought entertainment. We're all entertained all day long. Some are entertained from football, some are entertained from MMA, some are entertained by sitting in a coffee shop, crossed legs, cigarette and a cup of coffee, and enjoying a good cake. That's entertainment. What are we doing today? Where are we going tomorrow? Let's go to Rome. Why need you go to Rome? Or Paris? You need a vacation? Go with your kids somewhere, and that's called entertainment. That's the Greek mentality. Now, some call it the common sense mentality. Why? Because according to the common sense of the Greek, the reality is the physical of what I see, and what is not grasped in my mind doesn't exist. That's their ideology. Whatever I can see with my mind and eyes and touch and understand, that's truth. Whatever doesn't make sense, or I cannot put together, or I don't sense it, doesn't exist. Now, do you think that the Empire of Greece was successful? Of course. The whole world is governed by that ideology. The worship of the body, the worship of money, the worship of power. Look at the Greek, the entire ideology. The whole world is like that. Now I said vacations, a coffee shop, everything that how the world exists is Tarbut Yavan. fashion, name brands. All this is Yavan. And the ultimate, of course, is the movie world. That's Yavan. A movie, you sit in front of a screen for 2 hours watching a reality that doesn't exist. To be entertained. Okay, a fraction is like real movie, and the reality that most of the movie is somebody invented a story and wanted to entertain you with shooting, with killing, with sex, with promiscuity, whatever. As long as you come and pay the ticket, I will entertain you. I'll give you whatever you want. Just pay me my fee. So the world is going in the pace of the ideology and the exile and the teachings of the Greek Empire. Now, the problem is that the material, it disturbs the spirit. If you want to be a spiritual person, you cannot be attached too much to physical things. Remember the rule, HaChomer mafriya laruach, the material, the materialistic object disturbs the spirit or the air, it's not air, the spirit to grow or to do anything. And it's a constant war. Now when I choose to be spiritual, and I want to be spiritual because I believe, I know, I understand, now will come my body. You need to sleep, you need to eat. You need to enjoy yourself. Why you work so hard? Why are you not eating this? You can eat that. So the physical part, the physicality, the chomer will constantly disturb me. And then you reach to the bottom when there's no rest. Life is a little bit chaotic. Now there's many different stages for every different individual. Some people that are watching this video right now are all the way to the right side, spiritual, learned, research everything, eyes wide open, know everything, saw everything. That's the extreme right. I'm talking to the people who are now watching the class. But there are many who are in between and far away to the left that are still skeptical, not about things like Corona and many other things. They're still in denial that there's a creator. So we have a very large, wide or broad, gap? Range between who we're now dealing with. And in between, many others. Some people are more observant, less attached to materialism. To simplify it, is that when the material disturbs the spiritual, life is chaotic. To an extent, some a little bit, some a lot. A person needs to know how to separate realities in their life. Now let me stop and explain to you a concept, and then it will be more clear, and then we can conclude. And I'm sure many are asking, what is that going to do with Hanukkah? You called me for Hanukkah, talking to me about now other things. I told you need to research, you need to learn. Doesn't matter where you are now on that place that I'm saying every person is in a different place. You have to understand the basic things. I need to be connected to my roots. The root is not visible or tangible. And more than that, the more that I feed the materialistic desire of my life, the further away I get from my spiritual part of my life, and it will disturb. Doesn't matter. How are you going to look at it? Now, why is that so important? Everything that I'm telling you, not only to understand Hanukkah. I'm telling you everything that I just told you in the last hour is to explain to you that when you are not connected to your source, and the shefa, the energy, is not coming in the right way, and it doesn't matter right now because of a sin, because you're not connected, because you didn't do the mitzvah. It doesn't matter. You are not connected well to the source. You are not getting the right energy to enliven you. And that will affect your life tremendously. Either a little bit, if you're lucky, or a lot. When I say life will become chaotic, it will either affect you physically, so that's why you see half the world is sick in terrible diseases, that bothers them. I see people who are sick all day long, run to this doctor, that doctor, this hospital, this treatment, that treatment. Who needs this headache? More than that, when a person is not connected well to the root, then his life is full of confusion. And this confusion will come in many different ways, each person individual. One person, the confusion is going to come, who they need to marry, or where they need to work, or why they're not making ends meet, or going after this business and it fails because that's where they need to go. Going after this profession and it fails because that's where they were supposed to go. 80% divorce rate because you didn't go out with the right person. And you were too ignorant to see the reality in front of your face. You were looking at the beautiful body or the money and not at the soul. So now your life is chaos. And many other aspects. What I'm saying is, why is that important? Because when you're not connected to your source, life is not going smoothly. And then you're going to have a lot of issues. And every person, the issues are going to be in a completely different department. And we all have issues. Don't pretend your life is smooth. And my life too. Don't think that I'm sitting here on some yacht, drinking champagne and eating caviar all day long with my book. I also have life to deal with. And trust me, my life is a roller coaster. It's not as calm as it might look. The only difference is that the darkness in my life is not darkness. It's Hashem enriching my life with many events. It's not darkness. You have to know the difference between darkness and what Hashem wants you to go through. Darkness is when I have a group of people forcing me to do something. That's darkness. When I'm going through a situation in my life right now, doesn't matter what, but that's the will of Hashem to make me realize something or to do tshuva or to help another, that's not darkness, that's Hashem's guidance. I need to reveal the neshama. How do you do that? By bringing down the chomer. The pauses that you are now hearing is because I'm trying to find the right words in English. Because in Hebrew, we just spoke about it before the class, how Hebrew has words. Sometimes Hebrew will have one word with two meanings, completely different. Here's a perfect example. Because the holy books, they say, if I want to reveal the neshama, tzarich le'hashpil et hachomer. Now, le'hashpil has two meanings. One of them is to bring down, to lower, and the other one is to humiliate. Two different meanings, same word. If I want to reveal the neshama, tzarich le'hashpil et hachomer. So one might translate it, I have to lower down the chomer, the material. So that means be less running after materialistic things. One can explain it by I have to humiliate the chomer, the material. That is a little bit better because when you humiliate it, you're basically separating yourself from it. If I'm humiliating something, it's me saying, in other words, I'm better than you and I don't want to have any connection with you. So when I humiliate materialism, then I'm revealing in one way the neshama. When I diminish materialistic things in my life, then I'm able slowly to control my desires. One example out of many. I'm telling you things how I would do, how I would dealt with my own life. When I was young, I would go into a candy store or a bakery and take bags of stuff and stuff my mouth. That's what most people do. Very few people go to a bakery and buy one rogalach, one. Most people buy 10. That's how I was. Anything that I would buy was exaggerated. And I knew I'm not going to finish it. And some people do it. They go to a restaurant, they order 5 dishes, they have a bite from each, and that's it. And then they throw it away. When I diminish the need of anything that is material, eventually I will be able to control my desire. If you do not, you won't be able to control desires. And like I told you, I confess, I had no control over my desires. That's why my life before was observant was insane. Because whatever I wanted, I went after, I got it, and I got a lot of it. And I didn't want to use a little bit. So everything was extreme. Even the drug abuse. Some people go and they consume 1 pill in a party, and some people take 12. Why do you need so much? Same high. You need to be completely plastered. So here, the trick here is, first of all, I need to reveal the neshama. How do I reveal the neshama? By lowering the physicality, or like I told you, lehashpil is to humiliate the physicality. It's junk. I don't need this. It's bobkas. It's heaven avalim. But then you need to diminish the amount of materialistic things that you need, and eventually it will cause you to control all your desires, but not only your desires, your inclination and your tendencies. With that said, and I have so much more that I want to elaborate, but I really want the class to be as short as possible. What I just told you now, that's what happened to the Maccabean. 5 men. That's what it is. Antiochus comes for generations. It wasn't like an ad in the paper and the next day it changed. The thing went over for years. One step after another, exactly what they're doing in this country. Look at Israel in the 60s. You wouldn't be able to find anything unkosher here. Everything on Shabbat was closed, and many other things. I saw with my own eyes the evolution of the state of Israel. When I was a kid, everything in Israel was much more religious. Everything was closed on Shabbat. Religious, not religious. It was a state thing. Israel was much more closer to God, seemingly, when I was a kid in the 70s and the 80s. Now, slowly. Now, if you're looking at the 70 years of the state of Israel in history, what's 70 years? How long was the empire of Greece in Israel? 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? You're talking here a very long time. So one can say, we had the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, now we have the Zionist Empire controlling here. Just as bad as Antiochus, and probably worse. Listen, with no doubt, the evil forces of the world try to do something, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu flips it in their face. The Zionists came to Israel to create a Zionist state. Ben Gurion, who was the first prime minister, said in the 50s, when he would point at a religious individual, he would say, this you will find in a museum in 10 years. In 10 years you won't find any trace of Torah in this country. That was their ideology. I'm not inventing it. Go look at their own books and their own literature. That's the Zionists, not the real Zionists. I'm not going to start getting into this right now because a lot of people are confused with the term Zionist. So let me tell you in one word. The real Zionist is a person who is 100% Torah observant, lives in Eretz Israel, and is waiting for the building of Bet HaMikdash and the coming of Mashiach, yearning and hoping for the day that he can work the land and give ma'asot and trumot to the Beit HaMikdash. That's a Tzioni. 150 plus years ago, maybe 200 years ago, came a group of people from the lineage of Shabtai Tzvi, from the Protestant church. That's where it goes back to. And they started calling themselves all sorts of names, and eventually they started calling themselves the Zionist movement. There's nothing Zionist about them, by the way. Half of them are not even Jewish. The rest, renounce their Judaism, like Herzl and all sorts of other psychopaths. Herzl, that now as his face is all over the country, the prophet of the state of Israel, converted to Christianity, celebrated Christmas, and then circumcised his boy. And the average Israeli doesn't even know about that. That's Herzl for you. One of the founders of the Zionist movement. They didn't want anything to do with God. But let's not go to that direction right now. Why am I saying that? Because if you're looking at the Zionist empire, who took control over this land, and us, if that would be entered into the history books, like we're learning now about Antiochus, the Zionists came to this land and with a plan, and they're executing the plan exactly how they wanted. Now you said before, Balei Tshuva, you're right. Ben Gurion said, in this country you won't see one Torah observant individual. What did the Kadosh Baruch Hu do? He made this an oasis of a Torah. Thousands of synagogues all over Israel, thousands of yeshivot all over Israel. There are cities that are fully religious cities. Elad, Beitar, Modi'in Elit, Bet Shemesh. These are cities. This is not a neighborhood. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you think you can secularize my people? I'll show you. You want to come and take the state and make it a secular state? I'll show you. That's why there's nothing to worry about. But what I'm saying is that looking at what Antiochus did, I can tell you now, go now, hypothetically, to the year 2522, look at history at the time of the state of Israel, I can tell it's the same Antiochus. Come and giving me all these decrees, telling me what to do and what not to do, secularizing the state. So, this is Antiochus. The only difference is that at the time, the Maccabean saw what's going on. They saw where it's going to. And they said, okay, we have no problem, we have no option but fighting it. Now, the way it works in the spiritual world is if God throws at you a physical problem, financial issues, sickness, whatever. God throws at you a physical challenge, the answer is only spiritual. Hashem sends you some challenge that is physical. What do? You pray, you learn Torah, you give charity. But when Hashem sends a challenge to you that is spiritual, then you have to physically fight it. So the Maccabean understood the challenge is spiritual. They're coming to uproot our spirituality. So the war has to be physical, not spiritual. Right now, we have to decide if the war is spiritual or physical. The Maccabean understood it has to be physical. Now you have to understand that the Greek Empire is almost like me taking a few other guys here with white beards because they're old men, and fighting now Russia, America, and China together. That's more or less the ratio. 5 old men in front of an army. Okay, later on they gathered a few other Hashmonaim. Eventually there were a few dozens. But the Maccabean are 5 men. They understood that the spiritual life of the nation of Israel is about to be destroyed. That's it. They understood that. Since they understood that the spirit is stronger than the material, they went out to crush the material. How? Well, they did it with Mesirut Nefesh. Mesirut Nefesh means self-sacrifice. The Torah tells you that if you go to war, b'msirut nefesh, and you're going to do Kiddush Hashem, and you are 100% trusting that God is your protector, and a few other rules, nothing will happen to you and you'll be successful. That's why now many of the rabbis are teaching this to the Israeli soldiers. If you're going because the state of Israel called you, sorry for the sound effects. But if you're going to the war to do Kiddush Hashem, different status. You're changing your status already. Because if you get killed, you died on Kiddush Hashem. A soldier needs to stand now and say, I'm going to do Kiddush Hashem. Not going to better Bibi's manipulations. I'm going to do Kiddush Hashem. But anyways, I don't want to elaborate on that too much. But that's what the Maccabean did. They went out b'msirut nefesh, so they were successful. But if I want to break the materialism, because I just explained to you for an hour and a half that we are subject to the attack of our governments or whoever you want to call it, and we are oppressed and suppressed by materialism. Everything is materialism. And we are so deep into it that we don't even notice how bad the situation is. We don't even notice left and right. And we tend to believe whatever is said to us. And even if you somehow open two antennas and you are more receptive to the truth, you still don't go and do the research. You depend on the people who do the research for you and come up with the information. And that's false information, by the way. Because 99% of the conspiracy theories information that is out there is not the right information. We know there's a deep state. Do you know who they are? No. And don't tell me you know who they are. And don't pretend you know who they are. So we know the concept. We don't know details. And many people come and throw all sorts of details in the conspiracy world when you're going to the websites that are not YouTube. Millions of videos there. Right? Rumble, BitChute, all these places where you can get educated. I'm telling you that 99.9% of the information there is not right. You're not going to get your information on true conspiracies from anywhere in the internet, and don't think that all these websites are not part of the plan. So the reality is that our spiritual life, Jew or non-Jew, is at stake. It doesn't matter right now who's trying to do it. But right now, we are under control and our spiritual life is at risk. I want to completely eradicate or completely demolish or destroy the physicality. The only way how I can do it is only with the spirit. The spirit is stronger than the physical. Nothing else. Not physical and physical. How do you crush physicality? The Torah teaches you either by hardship, Yisurim, or Mesirut Nefesh, or self-sacrifice. There's another way, by the way. I'll get to it in a second. The Maccabean decided to go Mesirut Nefesh. They decide to go out in self-sacrifice, but they went with the right attitude and they won. Because the ruach, the spirit, overpowers the physicality in any case. One powerful spiritual man can overtake a whole army. Look at Avraham Avinu. Went to war with 4 kings. Avraham Avinu went to war with China, Russia, Iran, and America at the same time. Some say he had only 317 men. Some say it was only him and Eliezer. Different opinions. And even if he had 317 men, how do you win armies like that? You think Avraham Avinu had an issue? No. You know how he won? He took a little bit of sand, threw it at the enemies. All the sand became spears and arrows and went and killed all the enemies. And Better than a matrix. So what we are experiencing right now in the world is what they have experienced then. Then the difference is that they had Maccabean that went out to fight. We don't have Maccabean. Maybe some group of men will come out of nowhere. Our power lies, like I told you, in the mesirut nefesh, in the self-sacrifice. But there's another way how we can crush the physicality, and that is called unity. And that's why I told you in the beginning that the concept of Chanuka is Banu choshech legaresh. Banu, all of us. Our power is unity. When we are united, we are untouchables. When we are separated, anything can control us. Now, when we are applying mesirut nefesh, or applying achdut, unity, which is very difficult, it's not so simple. Don't tell me you are in full unity with me. I want you to be in full unity with somebody that is completely against you. Then be in unity. Then a lot of people say, what are you talking about? There's so much Ahavat Israel now. And I say, you're right. There's a lot of Ahavat Israel in the group. Right? Because I saw all these events, Hafrashat Chala, 500 women. I saw videos of all these beautiful events. and a singer on the stage singing, some song, and everybody's like that. Yeah. When it's in the same group, it's easy to have unity. Please take this group that have a lot of unity and this group that has a lot of unity, now put them together, now we'll see the unity. So you are right, there's a lot of Ahavat Israel, but within the group. And I don't want to say names of groups right now, but in group A, there's a lot of Ahavat Israel in the group. But bring to them somebody from group B, the Ahavat Israel goes out the window. Right? Facts. So it's true, we need to increase Ahavat Israel with no doubt. We need to increase all that, no doubt. And we need to have a lot of it, and there's a lot of it, but like a drop in the sea. That's how I see it, and that's the reality. That, you find Ahavat Israel, but it's still segregated. So, when I apply my power is either unity, because it's very hard to achieve, and also mesirut nefesh. But when I apply that, something happens. The hidden light gets revealed. And this hidden light is called Or HaGanuz. The Or HaGanuz is revealed. When you apply mesirut nefesh, self-sacrifice, Or HaGanuz will be revealed. When you apply unity, Or HaGanuz will be revealed. Also now, we have to understand that an external culture took control over us. And I don't know if it's correct to say external culture. Call it an empire, call it however you want. I call it, in Hebrew, tarbut chitzonit. I'll tell you what I mean. Something that is foreign to us and is against God is controlling us right now. And it's worldwide. It's not limited to faith, by the way. Faiths are just one of the details to create the problems. But really, this is way greater than a faith or a religion. It has nothing to do with faith or religion. And when I'm saying culture, because it's teaching us to behave in a different way than we're supposed to. Not so easy to get to a point of mesirut nefesh, of self-sacrifice. And don't go by when somebody tells you, wow, you came, what a mesirut nefesh. No, she went into a taxi, it wasn't a mesirut nefesh. The mesirut nefesh that she didn't see her Netflix show tonight to come to your event. Thanks for coming. What mesirut nefesh that you came tonight? No, that's not mesirut nefesh. The point is, real Mesirut Nefesh, it's not easy to reach. Or unity. So how would I get any type of connection or benefit from this hidden light, from Or Ganuz? So a little bit of it shines in Erev Shabbat. A little bit of it shines on Leil Seder in Pesach. A little bit shines in Sukkot. I'm talking about the Or Ganuz, the hidden light, concealed light. But on Chanukkah, the Or Ganuz is revealed for 8 days. And you don't need to do much. You just need to light a candle and sit next to it for half an hour. And the hidden light is revealed. You need to be a little bit more. But that's what we are going to experience tomorrow evening. The Or Ganuz cannot be connected to without Mesirut Nefesh. You cannot connect to without Mesirut Nefesh. But now in Hanukkah, all you need to do is light a candle. Now I know to most people, and this is again this foreign culture that entered into our reality. Most people, you would ask them about the Chanukiah, their picture in their mind. If you go now to Google and write Hanukkah, most of the Chanukiyot, the menorahs, are not kosher. Please do that. Go to Google right now and write Hanukkah and see it. All the Chanukiyot that come as pictures, go to images. And you'll see the majority are not even kosher Chanukiyot. That's the Erev Rav in our nation saying, okay, light the Chanukiyah, but on a not like on a Chanukiyah psula, so you didn't get the mitzvah. Right? Look at this Erev Rav, how it's... So most of the Chanukiyot that you'll find, you'll have it with a candle. We don't light the Chanukiyah with a candle. You light the Chanukiyah with oil. Candles if there's no other chance or no other option. But you light it with oil, which makes a huge difference. Because oil in Hebrew is shemen. And shemen is the same letters of neshama. With a hay. You're lighting up the neshama. You need to light with the oil. How do you get oil? You take an olive. If you take the same olive and bite it, what would be the taste? Bitter. Right? Olives are bitter. Raw olives are extremely bitter. I take an olive which is hard and bitter, like my life. My life is hard and bitter. Your life, everybody's life. Right? And you crush it. What comes out? Pure olive oil. That you can eat, you can rub on your body for health, you can light fire, you can cook. We have an unbelievable opportunity in the next 8 days to make a huge change to our reality and to our future. When the Or Ganuz is revealed, things can change in the world. Things change in your life. I heard maybe 5,000 times, if not much more, from Baal Tshuva, observant individuals. And I will say Baal Tshuva / converts. Same idea. Telling me I'm a convert or I'm a Baal Tshuva for 10 years, 20 years. Life I thought will become better. Life became worse. Once I became observant or Jewish, life became worse. Why? And you're all giggling, so you all either experienced it yourself or heard it yourself many times. But the reality is that I would say differently. Technically, once you go to the side of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, you will go through a period of cleansing and things might be not so good. But if you did the tshuva the right way, you have to kind of surface yourself up in a normal place and you won't see life with problems and challenges. If you have that, it means your tshuva wasn't really done well. First of all, we're doing everything for Hashem. Then you do everything for yourself. But I want life to be better. I want my spiritual efforts to grow. I want to bear fruit. I want to find more peace, real peace, menucha, not shalva. Then I need to wake up the neshama. I need to light up the neshama. And to light up the neshama, like the Hanukkah candle, is not easy. Either you have to go through hardship, or you have to go through Msirut Nefesh. You have to apply the self-sacrifice, which is not simple. And you can do that at any given moment in your life. But tomorrow you're getting it for free. From tomorrow night, for 8 days, all Ganuz is for you to grab. All you need to do is a little action. The action I'm not going to explain now in depth. The short version of the action is to light up a Chanukiah, a menorah. That's it. Last year, if you remember, I gave a detailed class with everything that you need to do, with all the explanations. Go and watch it. You can find it online. I explain everything what you need to do about the Chanukiah. Where to put it, what height, how to light it, what to do, what not to do. And then when you light the Chanukiah, what do you do while you're sitting half an hour and looking at the candles? Which Tehillim to read? What do you need to do? Just follow it. That's what you need to do. Do that for 1 hour. The minimum is half an hour. But till you finish the Tehillim and everything, and you're talking about a good 45 minutes to an hour, what you can achieve in the next 8 days, generations are not able to achieve it with suffering and many other things. You have to understand that maybe you already understand that. I see by the comments that people leave me on videos that most people don't understand that. Most people don't understand how bad the situation that we are in. How thick the darkness is. The situation, I'm not talking about right now the bombing in Gaza. That's one detail. We are in such thick and severe darkness that you can't even imagine how bad the darkness is. And how do you know how bad it is? That the majority not only don't see the darkness, completely negate the option of a darkness. Most people think that we are in an advanced state. We have medicine, we have technology, we have science. What? You have nothing. So you have to understand in what severe darkness we are in. And after that, understand that the only thing that can take us out of it, of course, is God. But I am required to do something. When Hashem brings this on me, He wants me to do something. Hashem wants we to do something for the redemption. So I can later on say, I participated. It was my effort. So I can tell you already that doesn't matter how much will come together, which will be very hard, it will still be hard to fight this darkness. To fight this darkness with unity, we need complete unity. I think we're kind of far from that real unity. We're getting better, no doubt, but we're still light years away. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. We're far away from real unity. We're probably going to need, chas v'shalom, should not happen, a few other big attacks on us to get our understanding that we need real unity. So it's not going to be so easy to get out of this darkness. And it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger to a point that there's nobody to believe. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's waiting for you. You don't know what's tomorrow. This uncertainty and this chaotic state can only be dealt with spiritual assistance. On a regular basis, I would tell you, let's apply unity and let's do whatever Mesirut Nefesh you can. If for you to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to pray in a minyan is Mesirut Nefesh, apply that, please. Because then you have on your record, Mesirut Nefesh, self-sacrifice. I sacrifice my sleep to wake up at freezing cold morning to go and pray. That's self-sacrifice to a certain extent. But when I want to get, as they say, to the bottom of it, whether it's the Torah, whether it's conspiracies, whether it's what's going on in the world, you need a good research. A lot of people don't have the resources or the ability to research. But never so attached to whoever can. But the thing is that we are now in a very dark state. And the message for every person, you and the people who are watching the video online, stop and meditate on the fact how much darkness is in the world. If you come to the conclusion that probably we have never had such darkness in the world in the last 5,000-6,000 years, then you're on top. You got it. You got the point. We are in the thickest darkness ever been since the creation of the world. Which the good news means that we're much closer to the coming of the redemption, because before the light comes the most darkness. Before sunrise, the darkest part of the day is the minutes before sunrise. So we're minutes before the redemption that the darkness is extreme. First exercise, realize in what darkness you are in. Because some people are living in some la la land and saying, what are you talking about? Everything is great. Everything is amazing. Mashiach is coming. And I'm not making fun of anybody, but I don't know what you're talking about. And when people send me threatening emails and disgusting emails, how dare I say this and how dare I say that, it just goes to show you the darkness that we're dealing with. And if observant people who, to some extent, you would say, have some type of knowledge and they still attack me in how dare you and how dare you, then the darkness is very, very thick. So A, realize how bad the darkness is. B, understand that it cannot be dealt by yourself or anybody else that are coming. Nobody will come to rescue the situation. We need to do something. And out of the days of Hanukkah, then there's a lot what to do. But now, Hanukkah will allow you in 8 days to achieve everything that I told you with not much effort. That's the difference. That's a Black Friday. You pay 95% off the price. I'm not telling you to do anything extreme. Sit in your comfortable house and light a menorah and say a few prayers and everything will be fine. Now, when you really want to reach to this peaceful place that you can achieve, understand, and reach to the place that you want to get to, which is revealing the Or HaGanuz in your life, is only when a person does his will and not your own will. When you get to a point that you do God's will, you reveal the godly light. Up until now, or up until then, what you do is you are doing your will. Meditate on that. Meditate on that and you'll see that you're not really doing God's will, you're doing your will. When you do your will, you're stuck in darkness. When you start doing God's will, 100%, the godly light will reveal, and you will experience your own redemption while the whole world is in exile. The exile is a screen away, one partition away from the redemption. And you can see how something so small can create so much darkness. So what I recommend is to acknowledge everything that we spoke about. More than that, apply these little practices that you bring yourself to a place that tomorrow in the afternoon, after sundown, you go to perform the mitzvah of lighting a Chanukiah, and you have all the knowledge and you're coming with the right tools, and there's not much to do. And with that, you are guaranteed that you are going to reveal your Or HaGanuz. You are one step closer to reaching to a place of menucha and not shalva. To be comfortable in this world is good. But if you are enslaved to this comfort, then that's a problem. Before I was observant, I lived the life of a millionaire. Had millions of dollars, fancy cars, beautiful home, great vacations. I lived like a millionaire. The Zohar says sometimes Hashem takes the person from a high mountain to a ditch, to a very low valley. That's what Hashem did to me in 1 second. From living a life of a millionaire, I went and lived as a convict 1.5 years in jail, in the worst jails. Hashem showed me the polarity and how the sheker of the physicality of the world, it's not comfortable. Doesn't matter how much money you have, you're not really comfortable. And Hashem showed it to me in my eyes because at the time it was right before 9/11. My case was connected, linked to terrorism, so I had no bail. The judge says there's no bail. And millions of dollars. I said, give me the amount. You'll get the money in cash in half an hour. No bail. Your money's worthless. Where you think you can buy your way out? So the Kadosh Baruch Hu shows you very clearly the benefit of being comfortable physically and the opposite of the benefit. So we have to understand that our aim, each and every one of us, our aim is to reach to menucha, not shalva. Not the peace that doesn't give me anything, rather to the rest, to the true rest. And when I reach to that, the darkness outside won't be darkness anymore, because I already reached to a place. It's almost like going on a high mountain, and the mountain is covered with the clouds. And as you're climbing the mountain, it's hard and you don't see nothing because of the clouds. But then you reach to the top of the mountain, it's above the clouds. Not only that you finish your hard work, you see the light, you see everything. So right now, most people are in the clouds. You want to climb higher, that you're above the clouds, that you see, you understand the darkness, but you are not connected to it. It doesn't affect you in any type of a way. When you reach to that level, then the verse that I keep telling you from Tehillim 91, 1,000 will fall here and 10,000 will fall over here, nothing will come to you. That's when you reach to the point where the hidden light is revealed to you. As I told you in Tehillim 23, Gam ki elech begetz hamavet lo ira ra. Even if I walk in the valley of shadow of death, or the valley of darkness, I won't have fear because I have you. But in Hebrew, it's completely different. Lo ira ra, I will not see the evil even. I would see it, not even say that it's evil. It's a good thing. When Rabbi Akiva's donkey was killed and the chicken was killed and the candle was blown away, you think that he said it's bad? He applied the lo irara. I won't see anything bad. It was all good. So all these beautiful terms are great, but when you want to achieve it, something needs to happen. You need to do something. Nobody will do it for you. And tomorrow you're getting for 8 days a 99% off coupon. All you need to do is light a Chanukiah, say a few prayers. You can have a donut if you want. And the rest, leave to the hands of Hashem.